Okay, so I have the engine out of the golf cart now. Here you can clearly see some of the framework I made to get that engine in here with the 4-link. There's a good shot of my axle I made with 4 pillow bearings, 62 sprocket, and a brake rotor, disc brakes. There's the reverse drive from Go Power Sports that was on it, giving me reverse. There's the handle for the reverse right here, right there. Here was the adapter plate I was using to put the engine in the golf cart with the reverse gear mount on the back of it. So this had the 12-volt charging system, and I had a solar panel over there to help give it a boost, but it worked well. The suspension is amazing, and the axle is perfect. So let's take a look at that engine. So I've got the engine sitting in the mini bike right now. Remember, I'm calling this mini bike the Mighty Moto. So it's sitting here in Mighty. It's not bolted in, it's just sitting there. I'm trying to size it up and find all my parts for the CVT clutch. All these parts are in different places in my garage, and I'm just trying to figure out spacing on how to put it in. And I may wind up losing the starter. I don't know if I can get it all in there, but I hope so. I would like to have an electric start. Another hard thing to deal with is battery placement. Where do you put a battery in here? There's not much room. If I can't figure it out, well, I'll just take the starter system off, run it without, pull start only. I'd like to put a battery here, but this is kind of where I want the exhaust to go. I could maybe put a battery down there if I can find one small enough to fit between the clutch, the engine, and the wheel. And but most importantly is just get the engine in here and make it fit. Line the sprockets up with the wheel. I still need to get some more hardware. But yeah, I need to make some adapters to go in here because the engine bolting is going to be different than what the engine plate is. So I need to make some little adapters that go on here to move the engine forward and maybe up a little bit, because it is pretty close here, even though that does spin freely. It's pretty close. Oh yeah, I already got it scratched up. Anyway. Yeah, so let me get the engine out of there, get the clutch off of it, and we'll work on making those adapters to bolt the engine to the adapter plate and to the engine. Okay, so what I've got here, I've got to make an adapter for the engine plate. The engine plate, or the engine needs to go forward on the frame, and actually to the right side a little bit, to line up the sprockets. I'm not having, so the engine's not too far over, and the chain can be inside the frame. So what I've got is, these are the mounting holes, and I've kind of made a rough sketch here of what I need. The engine hangs over 3/4 of an inch, so this engine bolt will actually be right here on the frame. So what I'm going to do is make 2 pieces. I think it's 3/8 flat bar, and I'm going to run them right here. So I'll have a hole drilled for this engine plate, and I'll have the bolts welded to the flat bar pointing down. So they'll go in here. That'll give them this adjustment here when they slide up and down, and I'll have 2 of them, 1 on each side. Now the engine, I want to move it over a little bit, so the engine bolt hole will move over just to the inside of this hole, and I'll weld those studs pointing up. So that way I can bolt to the engine plate, I can bolt the engine to the flat bar, and I can bolt the flat bar to the engine plate. That way I have a little bit of movement here, and if you look back here, there's movement for the engine plate to slide back too. So when I put the chain on, I'm going to put the chain on in the back position, all the way back. That way I'll cut the links to fit the chain, and then I can move the engine forward and hopefully tighten it up enough that I don't need a chain tensioner. I would really like that. I haven't decided what kind of chain tensioner I want to use if I go that route. But I think if I go this way, I should have enough here to tighten the chain and don't need a tensioner. So yeah, let's get to building those flat bar. Okay, what I need is 2 pieces 9 inches long. So I'm going to cut them out of this. I'm going with a thinner flat bar. This is, let's see, this is 3/16. I'm going with the thinner flat bar because the other flat bar is just way too heavy. And it's already getting heavy with the larger engine. So I'm going to cut 2 pieces out 9 inches long. And then we'll measure out for the holes. Alright, here we go. Now here's what I want. The engine plate. The engine will be bolting up here. And the plate will be bolting back here. And like I said, I'm going to have the studs welded to the plate that go down, and I'll be able to put the nut on the bottom. And then I'll have the studs welded for the engine going up, and I'll be able to put the nut on the top. So here we go. Let's see if we can kind of get an idea of where these holes are going to go. So I'll put a line here. This is kind of like center line for that hole. And I believe these are 5/16 bolts. So put this like so. And then we'll put a center line here. That'll be center line of the bolt. That'll give me downward motion and forward and back motion. This is where the hole will go. We'll make a line this way, that way, and then we'll go back through and we'll make the engine mount holes. Hopefully this works out. I think it will. I think it'll work out just fine. This is where I would want, I think, the stud hole for the engine. Yes, I think so. Okay, I'll get back to you after I mark this all up. Now that I've got these plates made, you kind of see what I'm trying to achieve here. So this will be able to slide up and down. Uh-oh. Whoops. I should have, well, I can turn this one over. Yeah. Turn that one over. This one like that. There we go. So this is where the engine will sit. Now, I'll weld the studs in there. I'll either cut the heads off, or I'll make the holes bigger so that the heads go all the way through. And I'll have it bolted in like that. And I'll have a new hole with the stud pointing up, like this, for the engine. And I just dropped it down there. But anyway, I'll get another one. I'll have a new hole that I gotta drill for the engine. The stud will be pointed up. So I'll set the engine on, bolt it on, and then I can set it in here and bolt it to this. Alright, kind of see what I've got going on? Method of my madness? I think it'll be like that, actually. It's gonna be on the inside hole. Yeah, I like that. Okay, now we got to figure out how to mark those holes. So after putting those little plates I made in there and getting all the measurements to put the engine where it needs to be, basically I'm doing this for the torque converter. I really want to use the torque converter, but it looks like I can't use the torque converter and the starter both at the same time. Probably going to give up the electric start since it'll work fine with the pull start, and I'll be able to use the torque converter. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So you can see the clearance I have. I mean, it's very, very minimal, if any at all. So when the belt goes to expand right there, it's probably going to rub on the frame. I don't know. I'd kind of like to get it to go forward some more, but as you can see, I'm hitting. As you can see, we're hitting on the frame already, on the starter solenoid and the starter. So I'll probably go ahead and take the starter off and the electric start system off. That way I can run the torque converter that I want to do. It'll make it look a little better in the front anyway. So yeah, I guess I'll do that right now. And maybe I'll just go get another engine from Harbor Freight, one that doesn't have the starter mods to it, and build that engine up and use it in here. I don't know. I have to see what I decide to do after I get it off. But anyway, I'm going to continue to make that plate and figure out all the dimensions. The engine actually needs to come forward just a little bit more. I would be comfortable with a 1/2 inch or even a 1/4 inch of clearance right there would be nice. So yeah, the engine needs to go forward a little bit more, so I'm gonna have to lose the starter. All right, I'm gonna take that off.